And let's talk about Louisiana and talk about the Treasurer's Office to begin with. I was sworn in on January 8th, and it's been, frankly, I was a little worried it was going to be kind of boring and bureaucratic, and I was going to end up being a bean counter. Well, it's been anything but that. It's been very interesting. A lot of policy stuff that we've become involved in here in even less than a year. So there are three main functions of the Treasurer's Office. Number one, we invest the taxpayers' money, because if you just let it sit in an account not drawing any interest or any return, you're just, you're going to lose against inflation. So you can't allow the dollars to just sit there. Number two, the Treasurer is chairman of the Bond Commission, and it's probably a little known commission, but it's very important in the lives of Louisianans. And also the operation of the Bond Commission is in the Treasurer, that is the staffing, is in the Treasurer's Office as well. And then the third thing is the most popular, unclaimed property, and you're going to hear more about that in just a minute, right, sir? We have a visitor here today that I'm going to introduce you to in a moment. But our job in unclaimed property is to return your property to you, your cash. And it may be there for many different reasons, so a lot of people don't suspect. But at any one time, there's over $100 million that recently was turned over to us that is actually your money and belongs to you. And we're happy to get it to you. So those are the three main functions. So let me talk about some of the things that we've done, we've attacked, and some of the battles that we fought. First of all, we got involved in the takeover of the Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance by Elevance. We looked into that. There were hearings in the Senate, a lawsuit, and the facts that we learned told us that this was going to be a very bad deal for Louisianans. They were going to roll up $3 billion and put it into some sort of foundation that who knows what they were going to do with it and who was going to get the money eventually. And the track record for this company, Elevance, is not good at all. A lot of people have had their claims not paid. They've actually been convicted of fraud. So I was the only statewide elected official who stood up against this, and we did defeat it. So, and we kept all of those Louisiana jobs in Louisiana. A couple of months ago, I was visited by ExxonMobil. They actually have a processing plant right across the bay from my office in the Capitol. And this representative said, we need your help. Would you take lead on this? We're in a proxy battle where the hard left is working with several pension funds, California, CalPERS, and others, to replace our CEO as well as the board of directors with Green New Deal people who want to destroy the business model, the oil and gas, carbon-based energy of this company. And would you lead us on that? And I said I'd be happy to, and I did. I'm a member of the State Financial Officers Foundation. There's 28 conservative-leaning states that are fighting back against the ESG and all the other things that are, as you know, happening in the financial institutions. You may have heard, in fact, about, well, let me finish this thought first. We came together as an organization, and we wrote letters and editorials, and we fought back that attempt. Had they done that and this company collapsed, that would have been a loss of $135 million of tax revenue this company pays each year, not to count, of course, the many jobs that this company creates. So we won that battle. So another recent battle you've probably heard about, for some reason it got a lot of media interest, was I was asked several months ago if I would approve Bank of America, not approve, but actually recommend Bank of America to the Interim Emergency Board, who approves banks for the purpose of being fiscal agents for various commissions. And only a month or so before that, I had been part of a group, again, the SFOF, that had written a letter troubled by many things that we were seeing reported in the media about Bank of America. There were two Christian charities that they had debanked or denied services, companies that produce, manufacture firearms, and others. And so, you know, we wrote a letter pushing back against Bank of America, and we didn't think that their reply and their response was adequate. So then I was asked by the IEM Emergency Board whether I would recommend them, and I said, no, I can't recommend them. Now, my word is not the final word. The board decides. I'm only one member of the board. But they decided, they agreed with me, apparently, because they did not bring them up for that. And it got into the media, and man, it's even gone. I was interviewed last week by Politico, which is, you know, is a national media. But look, folks, I don't want to push my conservative viewpoints through any institution. I don't want to push it through banking or finance or through BlackRock or any of these companies. But by the same token, I don't think liberals should be pushing their political viewpoint either. I think these organizations should do their job. They should get the best return on investment for you. You're probably aware that my predecessor, John Schroeder, divested BlackRock nearly $900 million last year because of their ESG investments. And I agree with that. The priority for all of these companies and for your treasurer and also for these pension funds is to get the highest return on investment and the safest return. I actually looked at a study that was done recently. University of Chicago looked at 20,000 Morningstar rated funds, and they categorized them as ESG and non-ESG. Now, do y'all know what ESG is? Maybe I'm jumping ahead. It's environmental, social, and governance. It's basically wokeness, and a lot has to do with, of course, moving us towards electric vehicles or windmills or whatever, as opposed to utilizing carbon-based forms of energy. And my personal view is whatever works best should be what we deploy. So if in the desert we can use solar and we can save money and we can get better results, fine. If we're in a offshore and where there's wind and it doesn't mess up the landscape, we can use a few wind turbines and it supplements our grid, I'm okay with that. But I don't think that we should make this a political thing. I don't think that we should impress upon others our political viewpoint. We should do what's best at that time. And so as a result of that, we've pushed back hard on all of these things, and I think we're getting some good results because these banks and financial institutions are beginning to take down some of the commitments that they've made in these things. But back to the study, so they compared the worst performing non-ESG funds against the best performing ESG funds, and the non-ESG funds won every time. It was a clear difference. So if you're using a priority that's anything other than the safest and highest return, then it's just not the way we should go. And that's the way, certainly that's my position when it comes to investing your money as your treasurer. Some other good things. Last year was a banner year for returns. We returned $450 million on investments. That's unprecedented. That's never happened in Louisiana. So we're getting great returns there. A lot of it has to do with higher interest rates, yes, but we've been doing well with stock portfolios. We were upgraded on our bond rating from AA negative to AA. Why does it matter? Because we get better interest rates. We still borrow a lot of money as your state. We have about $9 billion in debt. And frankly, I wish that our legislature in good times would store up that wheat rather than spending it. We could have used a lot more reduction on our debt in our previous session ending in 23. So that, I think, rounds out a lot of, one other thing I want to tell you about that I'm really excited about. Y'all are aware that we now have school choice. That was passed by the legislature. That means the dollars follow the kid and the choices are made by the parents rather than politicians and bureaucrats. But there's a companion bill that was passed 2 years ago. Rick Edmonds was the author, and it never got implemented because the Department of Education didn't want it implemented. But we have met with them, and we've got them to concede now, and it'll go live in March. It's a transparency website where you can see down to the molecular level all of the activities, the contracts, everything about each school in our public school system and charter schools. So that is a great companion to school choice. So not only can you choose the school for your children, but also you've got something to measure the quality of that education by. So we're very excited. Why we're running the website, I have no idea, but that's what they wanted. I am now publicly coming out in favor of the full repeal of personal income tax in Louisiana. Absolutely. It's not just because I hate paying taxes, okay? I do. But every state that is growing and developing and improving has either repealed their personal income tax or they're in the process of doing so. The ground zero, the center of gravity for our economy is moving to the south. Even Texas is looking at starting its own stock exchange. They're leaving California, they're leaving New York State, they're coming to the south, but they're not coming to Louisiana. They're coming to Texas, they're coming to Florida and Tennessee. Now, people will say, well then, what tax do you want to raise in order to end personal income tax? There's no need to raise any taxes. Tennessee has reasonable property taxes and they have no personal income tax. If you plan it properly and you reduce the excessive spending, which we do have, our budget has gone up something like 60% just in the last few years. So there's no problem with our revenue. The problem is with spending. And I see it personally. I see where our spending goes. There's a lot more we can do to save the tax dollars. And I think we should also lower the corporate tax rate. But more importantly, we need to end the broad exemptions that we're seeing. I mean, it's a patchwork. So if you're going to tax some companies, some industries, and not others, then you're going to get the ones who don't pay taxes. And you're going to lose the ones that do. So that's idiotic, folks. We need to just simply lower the rate of taxes and apply them evenly across the board to all industries. So this is a very solvable and fixable problem, and you're going to hear more from me on this. And I'm trying to work with the governor. The governor's a little nervous about me talking about this. He called me up to talk to me about it. But this is not a political move or a ploy or anything. I just think that I'm very concerned about this state. It loses population. The economy is going down. It continues to go down. We lost 2 congressional districts in modern times because of loss and lack of growth in population. But we can turn this around by accepting the best practices of other states. And I'm anxious to do that. Again, I have no personal investment in that other than to see this state revive once again. We have the people, we have the culture, but we don't have the right government in terms of a modern economy, and that's something that I want to see. So anyway, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here, and I'll be happy to take questions. Unclaimed property, we of course have money that's provided to us either through inheritance or maybe an account got lost or maybe there's a tax refund, and somehow it doesn't make it to the end person, the user, and so it's put in our hands, and then we have the job to track that person down. I want to present this to you, Mr. Larson.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, why don't you hold it with your other hand, and we can get a picture. Anyway, do you know how much it is?
Roughly.
Would you like to disclose it? You don't have
Fine,
to.
I don't mind. It's, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Why don't you open it? I'll let you open it and see. See, we like these success stories because we want people to come to our website because we're trying to give you money. It's for $13,439.91. So congratulations. Now, what are you going to spend that money on?
I think I'm going to use Fast Women, and I think I'll try to get out of debt. I've got a brand new Model A that I'm restoring,
really?
and it's the money
awesome.
earned.
I actually presented a check for over $13,000 to a gentleman that had no idea money was owed to him, but it was from a an investment he made many, many years ago, and he just forgot about it or lost it. And this often happens. It's surprising. But you know, after 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's a lot of money. And certainly nobody can make claim to it except the rightful owner or their heir.
I got a check from the state treasurer. He had found some money, found several batches of money. I had a bank loan, maybe 30 years ago, that he found, like $300 or $400 that got lost in the melee. I don't know how. He found the payment for the Clico shares. Clico was liquidated in 2016, and I had some shares that were not part of the liquidation, and that money went to the treasurer's office.
We, of course, post every item that's due on a website, and if they're large numbers, we typically try to track down people because we know how important they are. If they're small numbers, we just simply post them, and we encourage people to come to the website. And 1 in 6 Louisianans, we calculate, are due money from unclaimed property.
What went through your mind when you opened the envelope?
Actually, the office of the treasurer was such that I was very grateful. He extended many courtesies above and beyond, which I would have thought a representative of myself would have done. So it's just gratitude mostly.
What are you going to do with the money?
That's an excellent question. Part of it's going to go toward the restoration of a Model A Ford. I don't know what the rest of it's going to be. I have many people, and things that want my money, and I have pet projects, and so, good question. We'll find out as time goes by.
What do you think of this unclaimed property office of the treasurer's office?
It's very efficient. Love them.
How much money is there in unclaimed property right now?
There are hundreds of millions of dollars. More comes in every day, and of course money goes out, but we have to run just to keep up with the amount of money coming in.
And what is that website again?
It's lacashclaim.org, lacashclaim.org, or you can just simply Google Louisiana Unclaimed Property.